Hello, welcome to the Frugal Granny UK channel. I'm Frugal Granny, or Ali as you can call me. I'm a 64-year-old pre-retiree and I will be retiring from my job in higher education admin at the end of June. I started this channel to document my preparations for early retirement because they were somewhat sudden and unexpected. They were not my plan A. And I also want to document how I will cope on what I consider to be a considerably reduced income. As part of that preparation process on Saturday, I put up a video about whether my pensions, my annuities from my work-based pensions would be enough to see me through the 2-year gap between now and when I get my state pension from the UK government. And I just want to thank all of you so much for your likes and comments. There's been some very interesting questions, some very good suggestions, not just questions. And I've had a look into some of them. I've gone away and done my homework. And I would just like to come back and answer some of them so that we can be clear about where I am and the fact that I have thought things through. I have read the small print, and as far as I'm concerned, I think I'm doing the best I can for my situation. Anyway, if you're new, welcome. It's very nice to have you along. If you want to know a little bit more about me, you can go back to my first video, which is called Hello, I'm Frugal Granny UK, and then that will explain to you a little bit more about my situation without me having to go over it all again now. As I explained in my pension prognosis video, I have got 3 work-based pensions. I'm already taking 2 of them, and I'm in the process of applying to get the 3rd one. And I'll be honest with you, I'm sat at my kitchen table at the moment and I have almost been reduced to tears this afternoon because the density of the text in terms of understanding what they want you to provide is really quite challenging. And this is from someone who's already filled in 2 pension application packs, and honestly, what is an uncrystallised pension? Don't answer that. I do actually know, but I'm just like, the jargon, the terminology, the amount of pages that they send you can be very, very overwhelming. And I just want to warn anyone who's about to apply to get their work-based pensions, please don't be put off by the amount of paperwork that they send you. Make yourself a nice cup of tea, put some time aside and go through it all. If you have to break the paperwork into smaller piles because some of it comes in sections, do that. If you don't understand the terms that they're using, get a highlighter, highlight the terms, Google them, try and figure out what they're saying. The worst comes to the worst, give them a ring. There is usually a phone number on the documentation somewhere, and eventually you will get through to somebody who will help you. They have all 3 of them, all 3 pension provider administrators, been very, very, very good to me in that respect. So what did I want to come back and talk about today? Well, first of all, the 2 workplace annuities that I'm already drawing on. I've had 2 annuity payments from those 2 funds and the lump sum, and in both cases I took the 25% tax-free from the lump sum. Now, someone in the comments said, why did you want to take the 25% tax-free lump sum? Well, I'd rather have that money in my bank account than in somebody else's bank account. I wanted it in my bank account so that it was earning interest for me. It may not be earning as much as if I'd left it in the fund, but I would rather be able to get my sticky mitts on it rather than actually, I do not want this channel to become political, but I believe a lot of people my age have been drawing out their pension funds because of the political situation, and I'm one of them, I'm afraid. I'd rather have that money in my bank account. So that's a quick answer to that question. So in the case of the 2 funds that I'm drawing on already, I took the 25% tax-free lump sum. And with the money that was left, I opted for the lifetime annuity. And yes, as far as I know, those annuities will die with me, though I do think there might be provision in one of them for a spouse or a civil partner, but I don't have one of those. And to be honest, those funds are not large enough really for me to worry about leaving money to my 4 children. I mean, by the time a solicitor's had their whack at it and they've divided what's left by 4, it's not going to be much. And I would really like to think I'm going to live long enough to see the benefit of those funds. If I leave anything to my kids, it will be in the bricks and mortar that's around me. So those 2 funds are what you call defined benefit pensions. They really are quite old-fashioned pensions now. So when people are saying to me, why don't you leave the money in there and draw it down bit by bit? Why don't you transfer it to something else? The reason I'm not doing that is because those pensions will not allow me to do it. You can take a lump sum, tax-free up to the 25%. You can take the whole lot and pay tax on the remaining 75%, which I personally think is not a terribly good idea. Or you can take the 25% tax-free lump sum and get an annuity with the rest. Now, with one of the funds, the older fund that I belong to, actually with both of them, you don't get to choose who the annuity provider is. It is just an annuity that fund gives you. So, it's like take it or leave it. I think with one of them, they were saying that I couldn't actually leave it in there any longer. It had to be taken at 65. So for all the people who've been sending me helpful comments about leave it there, do that, draw it down slowly, this, that and the other, I can't. It is a very restrictive, simple, old-fashioned pension that was put in place before all the reforms that I think came in about 2015, 2016, because I do know that the second one that I have was caught in that. So part of my contributions were under the old rules and part were under the new rules. But effectively, I've still had to draw the pension under the new rules, old rules, sorry. So that one as well took the 25% tax-free lump sum and the annuity, and there was no choice as to what annuity. It was their annuity, so that's it. When I've got a minute, I will go back into the small print and see if those annuities do allow me to leave anything to anyone. But as I said, there's no one in my life in terms of a partner, a husband or anything to leave that to. So, it didn't really cross my mind. And usually with these older funds, you can't leave them to your kids. So that's that. With my current workplace pension, that is slightly different. It's called let me see if I can find it. Excuse me to looking off to the side, but I think I got it open on a website. Yes, it is called a defined contribution fund rather than a defined benefit fund. But it really is just a variation on what I've got already. If you look on the Money Helper website, that I think it's a government set of web pages that actually tells you what these funds are or how they work. A defined contribution pension, you should be able to do some of the things that viewers have said to me. You can draw down a little bit every year depending on how much tax you're paying that year to try and alleviate how much tax you pay on the taxable bit of your lump sum. You can leave it in, etc., etc. But the fund that I belong to, I've read the small print, it says that there are these options available, but this fund does not offer them. So what I can do with this fund, and this is what I've been tearing my hair out a bit with this afternoon, is I can take all of it, which I don't want to do because I'd have to pay tax on 75% of it, and they say that's not a very good idea. I could take all of it, no. So I'm going to take the 25% tax-free lump sum and then get an annuity with the remaining 75%. But the difference with this one compared to the other two, because I think this one's slightly more up to date in terms of how it operates, is I can actually choose my annuity, but I have to do it through their nominated annuity provider. So I've had to tick a little box on a form to say that I agree for this administrative company to contact me and discuss with me which annuity I want. So I need to go into the Pension Wise booklet that they've sent me and have a look at the different sort of annuities and see which one would suit my circumstances. There may be an option in there for me to leave some of the fund to someone else. I think that's called a guaranteed payment period or something if I die before the 20 years or whatever. But I'll have a look, and I'm going to cross that bridge when I get to it, when I talk to the pension providers annuity administrator. My goodness me, we are getting a lot of jargon here. So anyway, I've got all that paperwork on the table in front of me, ready to go in an envelope to go into the post maybe tomorrow. And because I'm working from home, I've got a bit of a problem in that they want proof of the 2 lump sums I've had already to make sure I don't exceed some 6-figure sum, which in my situation would be highly unlikely. But I've got to prove to them that I've had my modest lump sums and that I'm not exceeding the allowed allowance, the lifetime allowance. So that's all ready to go. So I really do hope that that clears things up. A lot of people my age, I think, who've worked in the public sector will be in these defined benefit pension schemes where you really don't have much choice. And it never crossed my mind that there would be any choice, because this is what I've lived with my whole life. The fact that I've had this rather, what it looks like now, restrictive pension fund. And I mean, it is what it is. I think this one that I'm applying for now says I do have the option to transfer the money out into another provider, but they recommend against that. Well, of course they would, because they want to keep their hands on the money, but I think they have a point. I'd rather leave it where I know that I'm being dealt with in a relatively safe environment, and that if any mistakes are going to be made, they're going to be made by me making perhaps ill-informed decisions. But I hope not to be ill-informed by the time I choose the annuity type for this last pension. I'm getting to the point where I think that it may not be processed in time for the end of June. I hope it is, but I do have emergency funds in place so that if I don't have that money coming in by then, I will be okay. So I'm not too worried about it, and then I'll just pay that fund back from what I think that annuity will be. So that's that one. Yeah, I'm really a bit frustrated by it all, but there you go. The other thing I just want to do is say thank you to the guy who gave the suggestion about how I could try and work out what my tax liability would be when I'm working part-time for the supermarket once I have retired. I am retiring from a full-time office job, but I am keeping a part-time supermarket job. And I've had a look at my earnings so far for this year, and it's looking positive, but I want to talk about that perhaps in another video when I've got a little bit of a clearer idea about what's involved, because as I said in my last video and perhaps the one before, I took 5 days unpaid leave. I bought for 5 days unpaid leave before I resigned. That's how unexpected my resignation was, and that I just assumed they would deduct that off my final salary at the end of June, but they're not. They're deducting it 1 day a month off the 3 months of my resignation, and then there will be 2 months where it doesn't get deducted because it's irrelevant. So if I can make a mistake like that about buying salary sacrificed unpaid leave, then it's going to be very easy for me to make a mistake trying to work out what my tax is going to be like once I've left the university and I'm only at the supermarket. But yeah, anyway, thank you. And this is just a little quick follow-up about the whole pension thing. And, you know, for anyone who's sort of going to be following in my footsteps soon, you know, just brace yourself, because there's a lot of paperwork, a lot of jargon, a lot of decisions to make, and it can be very overwhelming. I don't know if there's a term for it, but I do remember when I was going through my divorce, the solicitor talked about litigation fatigue, and that she was there to carry the burden for me when I got too tired and was going to throw my hands up in the air and do God knows what, I don't know. But when you're sorting out your pensions, unless you're paying a financial advisor, which I can't afford to do, you know, you've got to sort of push through the pension processing fatigue yourself. So anyway, I'm sorry if you're seeing a little bit of a different side of me today, but I just wanted to come back on and clarify about my pensions. You know, I'm not being irresponsible, because there's only so much I can do, because they're old-fashioned clunky pensions, and many people my age will have those clunky pensions. But thank you, I've understood now what a SIP is. It's something to do with personal pensions. I don't know, I can't remember exactly what it stands for now, but it's something to do with stakeholders and investments. And I've read up about it, and to be honest with you, it's not for me. It wouldn't have been for me. I'm very risk averse. I've not meddled in the stocks and shares at all, and I'm not about to start now. So, but thank you very much for mentioning them. I've learnt something. I've learnt that that's something else that's just not for me. I'm a simple soul at heart, and in a sense, I'm quite glad that my choices here have been limited. But anyway, thank you for popping by and bearing with me, and if you've got any comments to make, please do. I'm not sure I expect anybody to like this, really, but hey there. And I'll see you on the next one. Which, while I'm here, I'll just say I've had a look at things now, and I think what I'm going to try and do is post on Monday, Thursday and Saturdays, because that sort of works round my current weekly schedule in a manageable sort of way. So Mondays, Thursdays and Saturdays. So this will be Mondays, and then we'll talk about something else on Thursday. We'll see what that is when we get there. But as I said, thanks for popping by, and hopefully talk to you again soon. Bye bye now.